close, getting close, getting close. Okay, yeah, we're live. Hello. Got a couple things in the repair line today, so we're gonna go ahead and start with, if you can guess what this is. You've seen it before. We got an iPad Mini 2. Yep, Mini 2. With a broken digitizer connector on the board. Happens all the time. This is actually the first thing that I've ever sent out to have repaired, and it's after that experience I decided I was going to learn how to fix this so I didn't have to send them out anymore. When I first looked at it, I said, that can't be possible. Surely there's nobody out there who can replace that thing. But as you'll see, I was wrong, and it's actually one of the easier repairs. So let's start with doing a little bit of preventative maintenance here. I'm just going to cover some of this stuff, protect it from heat. I don't want the battery connector folding over. Should find a better spot for this though. Give me somewhere I can reach. There. A few things to fix today. We have, of course, this one. There's always a touch IC, so we'll do a touch IC afterwards. Got a potential TriStar repair on a 6 Plus. Potential, meaning anytime a phone comes in with board-related charging issues, which is evident after replacing both the charging port and the battery and having no results. This one, the most it'll pull is when it shows a dead battery, it'll pull about 0.44 amps. Not this that I'm working on, but the one that I will be working on. Maybe we'll save lesson time for when that one's the actual task at hand. It's getting gross. Warm up the hot air. In the meantime, we'll get some flux on our connector. That's big old glob of flux. You do want to be gentle while removing this connector. You don't just want to annihilate it. These pads are actually a little fragile. It's not terribly uncommon to pull a pad when you're doing this repair. Come on, iron, get hot. There we go. Let's turn the old cancer fan on. think very soon I'll either be purchasing or making a more effective fume extractor. This little charcoal filter gets it out of your face, but it doesn't exactly remove it from your vicinity. It's just a computer fan with a filter in front of it. It's better than ingesting the fumes directly, but it really doesn't clear the area. Best thing to do with it is just pump it outside. As long as the EPA doesn't come inspecting what's coming out of there. Alright, so we just put some fresher, newer solder down on all the connector pads. What are these along there? So now we can hit it with the hot air. So this damage occurs partially because it's a really sensitive connector. What if we got a loose pad there? That seems like a loose pad to me. It might be making a jumper. It's a really fragile connector though. And it happens when you remove the original connector during your initial repair. I've found that if you pry on the connector from here, pretend there's a connector going over there, if you pry on it from here and pull it out long ways like a zipper, you have a drastically reduced chance of breaking these teeth off in here. When you pry on it from this side, which is the easiest to get to, of course, the tension it puts on these pins ends up just snapping them. Waiting for these ground pads in the corners to melt. Everything in the middle usually melts pretty quick. Corners are going to be stubborn. Okay, there we go. Yep, and as suspected, we're missing a pad. So maybe we'll get super lucky and that'll be a NC pad. Not likely. I can't exactly see a trace down in there. Let's see if we can clean it up a little bit and see if there's a via coming up from inside the board. Ooh, what is that? What are you? Get out of there. It looks like there's the remnants of whatever was holding it down there. Maybe this was just a little piece of glue holding it down. I don't see a trace coming out of there. Maybe we'll luck out and we don't need that pad. We'll notice this one is also loose. As long as we're gentle with it, I don't think that one's going to come off. It does have a nice, convenient trace running across the surface to right there. So if we have to run a jumper wire, that's quite doable. Let's just double check in ZXWC, make sure we don't have to run some weird long trace to find a test point on the other side of the board or something. This job's way quicker when you don't have to take the board out. As long as you use your hot air respectfully, you know, don't point it towards the battery. Keep it kind of angled this way. Sometimes it's a good idea to move these coax cables out of the way. It's not usually necessary though. Uh-oh. Getting an error message on ZXW. Alright. iPad Mini 2. Although they use the same connector, the pin layout on the Mini 2 and the Mini 1 is different, so let's look. That's the third one from the top. It's blue, not connected. Okay. Didn't want that pad anyway. Alright. Let's put the bigger tip back on. Get a little desoldering braid here. Put some flux back down. And because we got one loose already and one gone already, we need to do this real gently. I don't want to disturb this too much. If you go the same direction that the pads are running, you have a much lower chance of causing any damage. You never want to try and move the braid without the iron touching it, because that's exactly what happens. Is you solder these tiny wires inside the braid onto whatever you're trying to desolder or clean, and if you just yank it away, you're going to rip the pad off with it. So. Alright. I'm just going to retin these with some all fresh, all clean solder. A little bit more flux. I don't like looking dry. Come on, make these beautiful. Alright, let's grab a new connector. lots of these on hand. It's funny, sometimes you won't see something for a couple weeks or a month, and then all of a sudden you'll get 3 of them come in the same day. I don't know what that is. Alright. A couple ways to do this. You can lay it down and individually solder each one. Or what I'm going to do, I'm going to put a little bit of extra flux on the connector there just to protect it from the heat. And I'm going to heat the whole area up and see if we can just drop it in. Let's try it this way. The board has quite a bit more thermal mass than a iPhone board, so it takes longer for the ground plane to heat up. Alright, that's all melted. Boom. Okay. Problem with this is you don't get the prettiest joints. What you can do afterwards is touch it up with the iron though. So we'll go back to the little small tiny tip. So this is a RT1SC if you're using the Weller WMRP system. Outside of the tweezers, this is the smallest tip I've found for this iron. We've got a lot of flux in here at this point, so we're gonna really flush it out really good afterwards. Let's get our solder joints beautiful first. Where'd you go? Alright. I don't want that much. I don't want to start bridging these components. I just want more solder on these connectors than what's currently on there. You want it to look pretty. Come on. Go. My flux is starting to burn and get really dark now, so we'll have to clean that all off, which it needed anyway. Clean this up a little bit and inspect the solder joints. Good job for the old toothbrush. I don't want all these fluids seeping under the battery, so at this point, it's usually a good idea just to find something to angle the iPad up on. That way it all kind of pools up towards the area you're working on. And you can dry it out, blow it out, without spreading it all over the whole device. Alright, so this flux will migrate all over the place. This came from another shop in town, so the last thing I want is to give it back to them and they can't plug the LCD in when they go to put it back together. I'm not reassembling this whole iPad, I'm just fixing the connector for them. Okay. I can tell already those are not the prettiest joints on the legs of the connector there. The most important thing is how secure are they though? How well is it going to work? Man, that looks absolutely awful. Let me see if we can adjust this microscope camera. This is just terrible. Turn that down. Boy, that's rough. That is really rough. Let me see if I can give it some more light. Alright, well, at least it's not 4 whole FPS now. Alright, you have to deal with a little bit of noise while we're zoomed way in here. Okay, so I see a problem already. We're gonna have to touch this up again. You can see where I made contact with the lower edge there. But we got a solder ball right here. That's not what you want floating around in there. That's not really great. This one's fine. This one's fine. This one's good. They're all secure. What I'm really not crazy about is that second one from the left. Oh, you can't even see it. Hang on. I'll be not terrible at this one day. Streaming, that is. You can judge for yourself if I'm any good at my job. Okay. So those are all secure. Our ground pads are probably the best looking thing on this whole connector. This side's a little bit trickier to see, but we can do it if we believe. Alright, so these could actually use a little bit more solder. I'm sure they're secure, but I really like my pins to be kind of buried in solder, not just kind of surface touching there. Yeah, they're all secure. They're not going anywhere. Let's just make them a little prettier. touch the barrel of the iron. It's pretty hot. This is why I like putting them down with on a pre-tin pad and just using hot air, because the pins are tucked way underneath the connector there. And it's pretty hard to get to them. Alright, let's just touch these one more time. Make sure everything's secure. Nothing wiggling. Alright. Ooh, come on. Don't need that much gain. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Let's try this. Auto exposure. Okay. Alright, now let's see if it works. You don't need tweezers to do this part, but since I'm already sitting at my microscope and I have tweezers, it'll be way more precise. Let's clean that up a little bit though. It doesn't need to look like that. Looks like there's a little bit of flux, yeah, in the connector there. Toothbrush really did the best job here. This will help get that flux out from underneath the connector as well. I don't want it sitting under there. Eating away at stuff. what were we doing now? Just trying to plug in a connector. Of course, now my microscope's in the way. Move that like way out of the way. Make sure we're charging properly and everything else. Pulling about an amp through the charging port right now. Was that a boot cycle? I'm pulling about 2 amps. Okay, I don't think he left me a passcode. Oh, but this is handy. You can't even see hardly. We've got assistive touch on the screen here, so I can double check and make sure digitizer is working perfectly. Don't forget your home button also goes through that digitizer connector. The only thing we're not going to be able to check is the hall sensor for the smart cover, which locks and unlocks it based on a magnet in the cover. Doesn't seem to be responding to the lock button. Which can also happen if your screen, if your home button has a bad hall sensor on it. We know the power button powered it on. Okay, there's our timeout. Home button's good. Let me see if he left me a passcode. I don't think he did. Nope. Okay, well, we'll set that one aside. I'll have to call my buddy up the road and see if he's got the passcode for this so I can double check that hall sensor. But with the entire touchscreen working properly and the home button working, and knowing that all our pads are connected properly, whatever issue he's having with the power button is probably related to the actual sensor on that screen. That is incredibly common on iPad mini screens. Last thing, I'll just go ahead and illustrate what you want to do on these connectors when you're removing them. It seems like it's really easy to come in from here and do it. That's the big side. You can, not only can you accidentally knock off any of these little filters, capacitors, coils in here, but that's, from what I've seen, that's the most common reason that you break the pins off in the connector. So if you come from this side, get under it and pull it off that way, it usually comes up without any kind of issue. Alright, so we'll stick a pin in that one for now. We'll move on to the next one. which is just going to be a boring old Touch IC. I had the board about 90% of the way out before I started the video. Okay. iPhone 6 Plus Touch IC. If you watch my other videos, you will observe that we're still doing plenty of these. Lots and lots of these. I don't mind doing them either. I'm actually going to put a little bit of gentle heat on here, just to loosen up the adhesive on this sticker. Yeah, it wants to stay on the frame there. I hate when they do that. Really do. So all I really want to do is just stick this thing back down the same way it came off without having to glue the damn edges of it. But on some of them, the adhesive just wants to stay stuck on the frame. So look at that. The whole thing. Oh well. Screw you two. Okay, there he is. This is one of the ones with the big letters. I'm just watching an old Chris Long video earlier, and he was saying he's got a lot of problems with comebacks on the big letters. Since we switched to just doing one jumper on all of them quite a while ago now, I can't really confirm that bias. I can't refute it either. We just don't get a whole lot of comebacks in general with touch issues after we make the M1 jumper. It seems to be a quite effective fix. And I just turned my hot air back up, so hopefully it won't take too long to get up the temperature. I don't feel like roasting this thing. Got my new Dumont tweezers here. They are sharp. I think they're going to be fragile though, so I'll be really careful with them. At 22 bucks, I'm really hoping to fall in love with these tweezers because it's kind of a lot for a pair of tweezers. I consider tweezers almost not quite a consumable, but something that you're going to go through a couple times a year. I'm a big fan of the Hakko CHPs. They're only $3 to $5. Start nudging this chip. I want the whole thing's gonna get loose, but this ground pad's gonna be the last thing to come loose. You can see it's kind of pivoting around it. Alright, it's loose. Alright, while the board's still warm, we'll clean up those solder pads. Best to do it while the whole board's warm. They seem to play way nicer when you don't have a giant delta in temperature between the ground plane and your tip. You just drag that giant glob of solder across the whole thing. Comes up pretty clean. Oh, this mini LCD needs to go back. first day using the tweezers, so I'm putting the little tip protector back on it every time, and I'm setting them somewhere else. By tomorrow, we'll probably be playing darts with them. It's just the way of things sometimes. Okay, we'll scratch off our contact point by the M1 pad. Uh-oh. Video playback interrupted. Please try again. Please tell me YouTube streaming. Let's refresh. Yes, okay. Look at that. I'm gonna keep hitting this white balance. Just that kinda, yeah, that made it slightly less green, didn't it? Did it not? Had this microscope camera for a year and a half maybe. I've never liked it, so. Now that we're on YouTube, it's probably a justifiable reason to get a better one. Leave me a comment if you want to see a better camera, or even better, leave me a tip. I am not on YouTube for money, not on Twitch for tips. However, if we have any revenue from either of those platforms, it will all go towards improving the quality of the production. Let's cut a jumper here. That's plenty long. Got a little pube action there. Get that out of there. Wow, it's like tied on there. Indiana Jones whipped its way on there. Did I just break the tip of this? No. Okay. Okay. Nope. Don't want it to bend there. We're gonna let it go the long way. Oh, this is gonna be a job for the new fancy tweezers for sure. Yep. Oh yeah. That's why you're here. That is why I got you. Yeah, these are really nice tweezers. These are Dumont Style 3. They're enamel coated, apparently. I'm gonna do our first trim there, so it's not touching that M2 pad. Get that out of there. Alright. So the idea behind this jumper is I don't want it coming a straight shot to here for a couple of reasons. Mostly because it needs to have some give to it. It needs to have some flexibility. That's the whole reason this pad comes off, is because the board is bending and flexing. And no matter what we do, there's not much we can not much we can do to prevent the board from bending and flexing. It's gonna do it. I've stopped putting the reinforced shields over the back. They're not bad by any means, but they're also not the fix. We were all definitely hopeful and optimistic that putting those on there would reinforce the board enough to where it wouldn't bend and cause us problem, but we still had return jobs. Not as many. We still had some come back. Still having touch problems even after we replaced Mason and put a reinforced shield on it. So now that we're not replacing Mason and not putting a reinforced shield, just reballing Mason, adding an M1 jumper, my material cost has gone way down on this repair. So subsequently, and most board repairs don't have a really high material cost. When I first started, these Mason chips cost like $3 a piece, but the repair got pretty popular, and supply and demand kicked in. They got up to $8 or $10 domestically at one point. And that's when I started deciding I was gonna just reball my chips. I wasn't any good at reballing really like this time last year. No good at it. I could do it if I had to, but I did have a whole bag full of used touch ICs. I didn't want to throw them out. I wasn't convinced that they were bad chips, but I was just replacing them every time. So anyway, between that and the reinforced shields, we went from call it a $5 material cost that kind of easily doubled, maybe got up to probably about $12 when Mason chips were at their highest. That's an obscene margin if you're charging. I was charging walk-ins. I was charging 150, and shops I was charging 100. Usually leave about $50 for if a repair shop wants to send something in. They give a discounted rate, so just so it's worth their time and money to charge the same thing as I'm charging. If they want to undercut me, and I'm still doing the job, especially the local guys. And if they want to undercut me by $10, and I'm still doing the job, but they're sending me a bunch of them, well, I guess they're allowed to do that. But I feel like a $50 profit on, if you're quoting competitively with me, a $50 profit. I'm just sending the whole thing over to somebody else to fix and getting it back a day or two later. I thought that was a pretty enticing deal. So yeah, we've actually gone down. We're charging $85 for touch ICs. This is May of 2018. So some guys do it for less. Just like anything. If you're a screen repair shop, or if you're a micro-soldering specialist, what I tell my customers is there's always somebody who's willing to do it for cheaper. And that may be due to the fact that they have cheaper parts, especially when it comes to screens, or maybe they don't value their time the way I do. But what I will never concede is that somebody cheaper than me is going to care as much about the customer's experience and make sure that they're happy with the repair within reason. So we got a lot of flux in this paste. I'm watching this top left, 2 down, 2 over. There goes the whole thing. Just watching the flux bubble out of there. I'm hoping we have enough material in there. And I clipped one of them. I grazed the ball. There's nothing worse than grazing the ball. It's so much worse than a direct impact. Let's be critical of these balls. You gotta inspect. Gotta inspect. Alright, just in case the stencil's a little off center, I always like to melt them one more time so they'll go to the middle. From this view, they look pretty okay. Let's turn it on its side and see what we get. If anything is drastically larger or drastically smaller, we should be able to see from here. I think we got it. That one's gonna make the journey. Yeah. Let's let it ride. Okay, don't put your touch IC on upside down. This is upside down. Right side up. If you put touch IC on upside down, you're probably gonna come up with a black screen. You'll probably come up with some wacky lines in the display. What else will happen? It's not gonna work. So if you finish one of these and you get, phone probably won't even start up. Sometimes, I don't know. If you get really wacky issues like that, just double check the orientation. Make sure you didn't do it upside down. Alright, this thing's a little high. It's gonna have to float into place. It already grabbed a little bit. I'm expecting it to go down a notch. If it goes up a notch, we're in big trouble. Down, we'll be fine. Okay, slowly moving into place. I did turn my heat down. Last week, for the first time in many moons, many months, I had to do a couple of proximity troubleshooting repairs after my touch IC. For the sake of the video, I suppose that was good. I got to show you guys what to watch out for, but I'm trying to make some money here. I got other stuff to fix. Nobody got time for that. Alright. That doesn't look perfect. Let's cool this board off a little bit. Alright. Alright, we need a dock battery screen. That is all you need to boot a phone. I guess you don't really need the dock, but I'm gonna use a dock because I can test most of my ancillary features right now before reassembling the phone, just to make sure I don't have to do any other proximity troubleshooting. All right, let's get these noisemakers turned off. Okay, step 1. Does it boot? Okay, we did not completely kill the phone doing Touch IC. Always a good thing. It's not completely dead. And it boots right up. We don't have any kind of Touch ID error message. So let's double check that. I'll work on this camera angle for future videos. Right now you can just look really, really closely. Test the touch screen. Make a nice, be careful and make it prove to you that it's working. So we just jumped a little bit right there. I think I got a dead spot in this touch screen. Yeah. Yeah, it's acting crazy. Now it's not. Oh, now it is. Maybe this is what Chris was talking about with the big letters on the Touch ICs. Now it's not. Also give the phone ample time to boot all the way up. You might think you have a serious lag issue, something. Keep in mind this is a iPhone 6. It's a 3-year-old phone now on much newer software, which, as you know, Apple loves to annihilate the functionality of the phone as it gets older by overloading the operating system, overloading the CPU with multitasking and stuff. Okay, proximity's working. I can hear the ear speaker. That's good. Delete. Don't leave your voice on there. We checked Touch ID already. Yeah. Generally speaking, if this little double tap without clicking brings your accessibility lower. What's going on here? So now we have no touch. That's interesting. Alright, I think we're going to actually put a different Touch IC on here. That's really interesting. Let's do it. Let's find one with a small serial number. Also the phone's water damaged. You see the you can see the red. I don't notice any corrosion. If it was bad, I'd probably just turn it back around, but it just has a red sticker. Really got to be subjective in this business. You really just got to make judgment calls all the time about things like that. Not water damage. All right. Are you going to deny service just because the sticker's red? If your answer is yes, I respect that. That's fine. It's your decision. You the boss. Or are you going to spend a little bit of time inspecting and seeing if maybe just a section of that board. Now, we haven't removed any EMI shields or anything, so I mean, I don't think we have any reason to believe that it's nasty and corroded under there. You'd see some evidence of it if it was. C5202RF looks fine, so I don't think this board got wet enough to to actually be a water damaged dead board. Obviously it's not dead. But let's do the, oh, you didn't see any of that. Yeah. One day I'll be good at this, like I said. Which way is that turning? Okay. Making minor adjustments. So whenever possible, you see what I see. Alright, so you don't know what I'm talking about with the big letters and little letters. Let's see what this one is. This is a mason that I reballed. Alright, so this is little letters. Let's make sure the balls are good. This is actually the last of my reballed mason chips. Cool. I think what I'm gonna do is I got a bunch of new ones in there still from whenever. I think what I'm gonna do is maybe just take a day and reball all of those too. I've gone from not wanting to reball anything to the exact opposite. Even on a brand new chip, I'd rather have my own solder balls, my own paste on it, because I know it's going to melt at a particular temperature, which is considerably lower than what most of them are going to come with. Alright, these balls look... You know, they're not perfect. I think maybe we'll... Yeah, we're going to put the stencil back on this and get those right. It'll show you the big letter, little letter difference if you didn't see it already. Yeah. I don't know if that's... I'm feeling superstitious right now. Get the stencil back out. Thought we were done with the stencil for the day. Lesson learned, you're never done with the stencil. Hey you think you're done with that stencil? Okay. Yeah, go put it away. Also be like me and don't clean it up afterwards, so next time you have day old hardened flux on it that you can't even squeeze paste through. Alright, yeah, this is gonna be worth our time. A lot of times you can see just once the stencil goes on it, the difference in the balls. Let's go out a little bit. You can see these three are smaller. This one's smaller. Yeah, this is gonna be worth our time. So what we're gonna do, I'm gonna go over the top of this. Oh yeah, these are tiny balls anyway. I'm gonna kind of scrape anything that's protruding past. That way, the idea is we can stuff each of those with a equal amount of paste. I need to maybe let this solder paste sit out for half a day or so. I was working at my other shop yesterday, and my paste there is nice and dry. Too much flux in the paste gives you uneven balls. I did find from watching a Rewa video that you can just kind of take a clean room wipe and go over the top of it, and it'll actually suck a little bit of that extra flux out without removing too much of the actual solder paste. So that's good. That's a cool trick. Okay, let's do this again. Yeah, look at that pick. All that flux just kind of boiling out of each of these cells. Oh yeah. We got some big balls now. We've got the biggest balls of them all. Think I'm ready for the big time with that AC/DC cover? I think so. I think I am. And we got a couple little Klingons floating around there. Let's clean those up too. Go through all this damn trouble. Doing another touch IC on the same phone. Because it's acting a fool. If it still acts up with this, I'm gonna plug in another screen. I don't know why. I wish I did know why. If you know why, tell me why. Educate me. But every so often, you do a touch IC, and it's only with an OEM screen. But when you do your touch IC, your original screen that came with the phone will not work on it anymore. Usually you'll get either persistent dead zones. It's got all pitted. You either get some dead spots that are real persistent, or you'll get ghost touching, or both. You put a new screen on there, and it can be a new original screen, and it'll work perfect. For whatever reason, aftermarket screens can tend to cover a board problem that still exists. I don't think their digitizer is quite as full featured as an OEM digitizer. So for example, an aftermarket screen will never show the gray bars, indicative of a bad touch IC. Or the OEM screen will show the gray lines at the top. So just because you're not getting gray lines when you bend it, but you are losing touch, that's still a touch IC. It just may have had a screen replaced at one point. Alright. So side-by-side comparison. Little letters, big letters. I don't know if Chris will ever watch this video, but this one's for you, buddy. This ought to come up real quick too. Try and get it off super clean. Okay, not clean enough. I'm gonna touch those pads up. While it's still hot, a little bit of flux. Just double checking my iron temperature. I don't want to be going in full heat on here. Be real careful around the jumper. I don't want to have to redo that. Stay put. Just give me your extra solder. Okay. Okay. And we got little letters, big balls. One day I'll quit making ball jokes. Today is not that day. Alright, please don't shift around because this is about the most perfect placement you can get. Problem with placing it perfectly is it's hard to tell when you got it laid. But I think it just moved into place. Give it a nudge. Oh yeah, it's good. Okay. I gotta say, the Swiss-made Dumont tweezers have passed the test. These are spectacular. Best tweezers ever. I'm calling it. Hopefully this directional mic is decent about not picking up too much ambient noise. If it's doing a good job, I'll maybe fiddle with the compressor and turn it down a little bit, and the noise filter down a little bit. Okay, let's do this again. Some deja vu. Dock, check, screen, check, 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 battery, check, plug it in, plug it in. 1.5 amps. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Pretty good, pretty good, pretty good. Do we throw caution to the wind now and put the stencil away? I'm doing it. I don't need a stencil for the next repair. We're not going to be reballing TriStar. Where'd you go? Okay. Okay. Touch. Alright, so a fast touch test is good. And we were having issues here around this area. No more of those issues. No, we didn't test the camera earlier. So let's go ahead and test that. There's no rear camera. There's a front camera. So that's, yeah, whatever. I love how Apple just wants to interrupt everything you're doing. Okay, Touch ID. We'll do the proximity again. Check, 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 test, 1, 2, 3. Yes. Proximity is good. Okay. Oop, nope, done. Delete, delete. Okay. Wow. Okay, well, I mean, we were seeing issues pretty much immediately, and then by the time we were done testing the proximity sensor, the touchscreen failed entirely. So maybe this is evidence for purging all big chips. Let's see if it's. I don't think it's. I don't. Oh, it might. Wow. You can't focus that close. It's kind of like backing up a trailer. Come on. Yeah, it's not gonna focus that close. Okay, so hashtag purge all big chips. I don't like big chips. Okay. Well. I'm just glad it's working. But color me please the the big chip was no bueno. Okay, up next, iPhone 6 Plus. I did a Touch IC on this phone a couple months ago. Let's open it up and look at that. Make sure it's my work. This is another local guy, another repair shop here in town. Make sure it's my work first. That looks like me. And look, it's a little chip. Didn't come back for Touch IC. This is not going to be warranty work though, unless, yeah, there's no unless. Touch IC and TriStar are not related to each other. So this is a new repair. Yeah, we can look at the symptoms. Let's do that. Can I put this? Let's see if I can put my amp meter where it's visible. That would be pretty helpful for teaching purposes. Might need to like rubber band it here or something. Can you see that? Yeah, you can see that pretty good actually. How can we stick that there? First off, of course I can't see it there. That's no good. Well, I'll just hold it up. You'll be fine. You'll be fine. Let's do this. Stock battery screen. This bad boy. Big letter Touch ICs. Interesting. I'm intrigued now. That's gonna be an ongoing experiment. We have found evidence suggesting that the big letter Touch ICs ain't so good. Maybe it has to do with the heat from reballing it, removing, reinstalling it. Maybe they died then. Maybe that is what's going on with these. Okay. 0.1 amp when we plug it in. This battery, this is the exact same battery that was in there in the last one we did, and we saw it was pulling an amp and a half. Your battery is going to be the main deciding factor of exactly how much amperage you pull. But this one's down to 0 now, so it knows it's being plugged in. So USB detect is working. Do we want to go into the schematic? Not really, but we can. iPhone 6 Plus. So, with charging problems, of course he didn't leave me a passcode. Why would he leave me a passcode? Don't hesitate to send me stuff to work on. Leave me a passcode though. The real heartbreaker is if you send me a phone for data recovery and you don't give me the passcode. If I get it to power up and I see the passcode screen, you're getting charged full price. Now we'll get in touch and try and find the passcode, but one way or another, I did my job. I need the passcode to proceed. Just like on these, I need the passcode to see if it's talking to the computer, if we're getting data. Here I go, flapping my gums, trying to multitask. That's not gonna work. iPhone 6 Plus schematic diagram. Oh no, I don't want that. No. Okay. I'm ready for you. Alright, here we are in the schematic. Let's look for TriStar. Yeah. JTAG. Fuck you. Don't care about JTAG. Go, 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 go. Wow. You would think, as you can see, TriStar talks to a lot of stuff. Chestnut, Mesa, TriStar. Here we are. Here's the page we want. So that's actually a pretty decent illustration. TriStar goes all over the place. Its main job, though, is to tell the phone the USB cord is plugged in. It doesn't actually charge the battery. That's Tigris' job. The problem is this E75 line. PP E75 to TriStar accessory 1, accessory 2. And then these two TriStar bidirectional, E75 pair 1, pair 2. E75 to TriStar con detect. So that one's working. We know if that wasn't working, con detect would not. What do you think that does? It would not detect a connector, right? So it doesn't. It knows that's there, but something else could possibly be wrong in here, or is probably wrong in here, as evidenced by the fact that it doesn't know it's plugged in. If we plug it in the computer, we're not going to get any data. And actually, as soon as I unplugged it, the phone just restarted. So why does TriStar go out? Well, it's because of that E75 line. E75 is the name of the data signal coming from a genuine Lightning connector. An MFI certified Lightning cable has a chipset made by Apple. It's got a little chip called E75, and it's basically just a key. It says, hey, it's me, let me in. Then it's got an NXP chip that is there for overvoltage protection, overamperage protection. And then the rest is data and charging voltage going into the phone. So when TriStar dies, oh, we don't want that. That can go away. When TriStar dies, any of those things can die with it. So there's a really wide list of symptoms, but the good thing is it's easy to change. So my philosophy is, yeah, we can probe around and poke around, but it's common enough. We might as well just swap TriStar out and see if that fixes it. If it does, we got it fixed in a short amount of time. Only used a small amount of glycogen, John, in our brain, and we can go put that brain power towards something else. So it's kind of a symptom-based guess, somewhat educated, just throwing shit at the wall. Yeah. Often sticks though. Okay, so TriStar is right here on the 6 Plus, just below the storage drive. Just below your NAND. I'm gonna put a little heat sink on the NAND there. And sometimes they underfill TriStar, sometimes they don't. They apparently felt strongly about underfilling TriStar on the 6 and 6 Plus. On the 7, it's not underfilled. On the 6S, it's not underfilled. On the 5S, I don't think it's underfilled. On the SE, it is, and on the 5, it is. It might be on the 5S. I haven't done one on a 5S in a long time. Alright, I'm just clearing out the trash. Alright. It's always nice to just confirm the orientation of the chip. Our dot is here, bottom left dot. That's the A1 pin. You don't want to rely on the direction the writing's facing, even though almost 100% of the time they're produced with the writing going in the same direction. that dot is actually what's telling you the orientation of your chip, though, not the writing. If you're having trouble remembering and you're not, recording your repair where you could go back in time and actually look at it, then sometimes remembering which way the writing was facing will jog your memory, but it's not exactly reliable. All right, so we got the underfill cleared out from around it. It's still underfilled completely underneath. All clearing it out really accomplished was to help us not pull these little capacitors up next to it. Alright, so let's go in for the kill. TriStar and Tigris can also fail as a pair. So if you're in the guessing mood and you got plenty of chips, I mean it's not the worst practice to just go ahead and replace both of them kind of shotgun style. Most of the time, if you do that, you will fix the problem. Some of the time, hopefully not this time, you'll have to use your brain. I'm across as really reluctant to think and use my brain. Alright, this is loose. Okay, and we just bumped into both of those caps. Let's give them a little flux while they're warm. They're probably mostly fine, but I'd better safe than sorry. Better safe than sorry. Slide these back over where they belong. Go back home. This is not your home. Close. Okay. Alright, so TriStar came off without much fanfare, aside from the obvious fat finger incident just witnessed. Alright, we'll get all this material out of here. This stuff around the edges will stay melted for quite a while. It's a really low melt alloy. It's used to hold this EMI shield on. This EMI shield is like by far the easiest one to remove and reinstall because that stuff melts at such a low temperature. It's kind of pleasing. It's a good indicator of how much heat you got on the board though too. Let's clean up these pads. Let's see if we can do it with the flux we have on here. Yeah, looks okay. We'll put a little splash on there. Put some new fresh solder in their place. Get these things real pretty. Oh. You see it? You see what just happened? I wonder what would happen if we tried to put this thing back on like that. I know somebody's done this. TriStar bypass PP3V3. Okay, so that's PP3V3, and this is TriStar bypass. So what do you think happens if 3V3 accessory touches TriStar bypass, a data line? I don't know. I bet it won't work. Pretty sure TriStar bypass is 3 volts if you measure it and it's working properly. Here we go. Where'd you go? There you are. But I am a professional. If you don't believe me, just ask me, I'll tell you. Alright, so we're going to get all that. We're going to get that out of there. We don't want those bridged. We do not want those bridged. Okay, next. Take a new TriStar chip. Keep in mind the difference between this repair and something like Touch IC or Audio IC. Those are due to physical changes in the board, which causes the connection to the chip to become compromised. So without a good connection, this integrated circuit can't do its job. A TriStar failure is due to a low quality charging cable or accessory being plugged in, and it sends the wrong voltage back up the line, and it actually causes electrical internal damage to your TriStar chip, which is it's a logic chip. So we're putting a new TriStar down. Alright, if you're looking real close, you'll see I pulled the 1610A2 off of here, and I'm putting a 1610A3 on. Most of these TriStar chips are backwards compatible with the generation before them. So the 1610A3 we saw in the 6S. And then when the 7 came out, it has a 610A3B. And I'm pretty sure on its data sheet it's probably called 1610 as well, but they had to put the B at the end, and that's a little bit more descriptive than the one at the beginning. So I haven't used this an A3B on one of these. I'm pretty confident they would work, but I still have lots of 1610 A3s, so I use my A3Bs on 7s, and I use my A3s on everything else. And then, of course, they named the circuit Hydra in the iPhone 8 and the iPhone X, and that uses a 612 A3. Is it A3? Okay, let it walk into place. Okay, give it a little wiggle, a little nudge. Oh, I did the thing again. That's no fun. That's no fun. If you're looking really closely, you could see it. Let's cool this off. Let's clean it off. I don't like dumping cold alcohol directly on a hot board. If you do a little experiment with some solder that's either still liquid or freshly hardened, and you put alcohol on it, you'll see it starts forming pits right away on the surface of the solder. It's not pretty. Generally speaking, in this kind of work, if it's not pretty, it's probably not good. Kind of like my iPad mini from a few minutes ago. That one's fine. It was pretty enough. Got the job done. Alright. We may run this through the ultrasonic when we get done. I don't want to waste a lot of time picking all this out of there. Let's see if that fixed it. In as much as we can test it without the passcode. I gotta start being meaner to customers, business customers, when they don't leave a passcode. Maybe I don't have to. I like most of my business customers. We get along pretty good. And if I don't like them, they don't remain a customer. Don't be afraid to fire a customer. Don't be afraid. If you know it needs to be done. Okay, what do we have? Alright, so that didn't fix anything. Exact same symptoms. So what else? What else could this be? Well, up next we're gonna we're gonna continue no brain in this thing. So we'll do Tigris next. We have a stray cat, and I think my wife is trying to adopt him. Yeah, no change. Power's off as soon as you unplug it. Okay, so it wasn't TriStar. Probably. What's next? Well, there's Tigris. TriStar first, then Tigris. What comes after that? Oh, there's a bunch of little doodads in there too. I'm being lazy today, really am. Yeah, might as well leave that hot. Yes, I'm drinking coffee while micro-soldering. Can you find it? Okay. Okay. Up next, Tigris. This is the chip that actually sends current from all the different, the three big power rails, USB, battery, and main. And it kind of divides them up and does what it will with them. Mainly sending USB to VCC main and battery. We're far enough away from the NAND, I'm not too worried about it now. Tigris likes to come up pretty quick. Okay. This could also be a battery SWI issue. Probably not. We came up reading 44% on this battery. Battery SWI is single wire. What does I stand for? Information, maybe? I'm going with information. It's a data line. The battery has all of the logic circuit. All the battery charging and estimation and everything that the phone needs to know about the battery health is stored on the battery itself. It's got a whole little Texas Instrument chipset on it. Pretty cool, pretty nice. So it just tells the phone all that information through a single wire interface? Single wire interface? Well, doesn't matter. It's one data line. Okay? What do you want? What do you want from me? Okay. I'm not sure whether Tigris is backwards compatible. I'm sure I could Google it and find out. This is a SN24 UBO. Can you read it? SN. Ooh, that's not working. I just ruined the whole thing. Alright, let's way to ruin everything. SN24 UBO. It's that bottom number. The top number is a serial number for the actual chip. I think that's the model number of the chip. So your top number is not going to match. Your bottom one should. This is 6S7. This is a Uebo. Uebo. This should be the iPhone 6 version Tigris. Ubo. It's 0080. SN24 Ubo. I'm pretty sure this is not going to work also. This is not going to fix it. I'm going to actually have to start getting out the schematics. Oh, SN2400BO. It's not a, it's a B. This one does have little letters though, so sticking with that philosophy. Maybe that's all it needed. Boop. That's it. Quick nudge. Yeah, it's good. I put up a little shitty window. I thought I was getting a decent window insert. I've got a cutout from my desk to the front desk, and a lot of noise passes through it. So I ordered this little window insert online, trying to cheap out. And it's not even glass. It's like saran wrap on a window frame. Slides in there. But John's on the other side making faces. Goofy faces too, man. Dock. Battery. We'll probably just dock battery and not screen it. I can't do anything once the screen comes on anyway. Yeah, it'd be nice to see if it knows it's plugged in. That's always good. Okay. Go on this one. You can see it. So I'll have to hold it up. Plug it in. Hold it up. What do we got? 0 amps. Not looking good for the home team here. I think that means it's time to start thinking. All right, what else will cause our phone to pull 0 amps from the charger? Power on while plugged in, but boot cycle if the charger's not plugged in. 45%? That's starting to sound like very battery related stuff to me. It does not indicate it's plugged in. It's not charging. As soon as we unplug it, oh, it stays on now. Well, that's good. That's a change. So before, as soon as it was unplugged, it would shut off and boot cycle. So maybe there's a little improvement with a new Tigris. It still does not know it's plugged in. Computer doesn't see it, it's not talking. Phone's still on. Yeah, please connect iDevice to PC using USB cable. Yeah, I already know. You don't know what you're doing. Unable to activate Touch ID on this phone. Man, this thing's just all over the place. All right. Let's turn that off for now. We're not going to need that. We are going to need this. And the old multimeter. So what do we want? What do we want? We want that. We want to come up here. First thing we want to do is go across the whole battery SWI con. Alright, first point of contact is back here. Tap the filter. I think those are probably okay, but it's worth testing. Diode mode, red on ground. 526, 0, 526, 457. Let's see what's the resistance on this filter. We do have a little bit of voltage drop. It's probably 100K. 0.87, and what's our actual ohm reading? 99 ohms. And we can verify that. Number on that is FL2511. FL2511. Boom. 120 ohm doesn't give us maybe it'll give us a variance there. No, it doesn't. 120 ohm, 210 milliamp rating. I feel like a reading of 99 when it ought to be 120 is probably still okay. I don't have I do have a working board. It's just in another phone. Let's grab a random dead. And check the same thing on it. 101. Okay. We're gonna call that probably just fine. This one doesn't have a TriStar on it. Okay. Set that aside in case we need anything. Alright, what's next? It'd be a good idea to go ahead and get some power going into this thing. And we can start measuring our lines. iPhone 6. Excuse me while I chug my protein shake. Chug it. Alright, 6 plus. we got? Yet, man. Alright, let's go here. So we're looking at the same thing here, both screens. Tighten that up. All right. Okay, so here's a clue. Where's another clue? It's gonna be good. It's gonna be fun. All right, and we're gonna. Oh, come on, Power Z. Don't play me like that. Device connection status. Let's see the actual dongle. Yeah. What? I'll try it one more time. If it doesn't work, you're just gonna. Oh, hey, there we go. How can we arrange these? I'm not gonna graph it right now, so we'll really just be looking at draw. Okay, green number is voltage. Purple number is amps. When I plug the battery in, we've got a 0.87 amp draw. A 0.87 amp draw. What's that mean? Oh, there's a parasitic draw somewhere. How can we isolate this? Well, we can do a couple things. Let's check VCC main and diode mode. We're looking for ground VCC. All right, so that one's main. Here's Johnny. .32. That's, I mean, I like .33. Just saying. That's a tough one, but I do like .33. Let's do this. So the reason I'm checking VCC main is I'm wanting to isolate whether we have a problem on the battery side or we have a problem on main power rail side. The place that they connect is here, this Q1403. So you have a charge activation diode, turns this transistor on and takes battery voltage and bridges it over to VCC main. Make sense? Okay. So if we remove this and we still have a draw, then we'll know the draw is on the battery side. If we remove this and the draw goes away, then I'll be pretty confident that our parasitic draw is on main power rail side. Let's do a couple other things while we're here. Make sure none of these caps are short, because these can get stupid on you. Just had a really good video where one of these caps was short, and it caused actually really similar symptoms to what we're seeing. Nothing's short. All right, so let's go ahead and pull that little transistor off. We do need the hot air. We do need you. Let's go. Camera. These tweezers they're the shit, man. They're my favorite. My favorite thing. Yeah, yeah. We'll see how long they last. That's the next question. My last pair of really good tweezers were are basically made out of silly putty. So as soon as you pulled on them at all, they would bend out of shape. So if these hold their shape, yeah, I'll be happy to spend 27 bucks on them, 22 bucks, whatever they were. I think they were 27. There's some psychology in the shipping price of things versus free shipping. If it's $22 plus $5 shipping, or $27.50 with free Prime shipping, I bet they sell more of the Prime one, even though it's 50 cents more at the end. Tigris is loose already, but this little bastard don't want to come. Come on. This is what happens when you turn your hot air on and just pick it up immediately instead of letting it heat up to do your job. John, oh, what's he up to? Oh, okay. Oh, that hoverboard's going in the trash, man. Okay, that's fine too. As long as it's not here anymore. I'm going out to the dumpster at some point today, and I was bringing that with me. So. Alright, let's cool it off. A 0.8 milliamp draw, or 88 milliamp draw, a 0.88 amp. Parasitic draw from the battery. This is gonna be tough. This is gonna be interesting. All right, so we've isolated battery and main now. Now they still have Tigris in common, but it's not gonna get there. Okay, and we're still, let's do this. I just turned the battery back on. We are still 0.85. All right, so what's next? Well, the only other thing they have in common is Tigris, so let's get that back off. Maybe I had a bad Tigris and I put another bad Tigris on it. Probably not, but we'll see. We have another slow walk-in day. Charge him $100 to clean out his charge port, right? No. Sir, this is really bad. It looks like you need a whole screen. Really good cleaning. Okay, Tigress is gone. Okay. We have now, I just hit the button. We are now not pulling shit. That .01 is effectively 0 at this scale. So I'm happy with that result. Now let's figure out what went wrong on near Tigress. What went wrong? Well, you know what else we can do? Well, let's put this back on. Oh, was anybody paying attention to which way that was facing? I wasn't. It's okay. A1. It goes like this. You see, we got a big ball on Tigress here now. We'll clean that up a little bit. Make it pretty. Come on. Wow. Wow. I'm gonna babysit you. I'm gonna hold you in place until you go down where you're supposed to. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. No. We can do two things at the same time. I wonder if we can. No, can't. Can't say we didn't try. Alright. That's back in place. No. No, that's fine. Clean up all that goo. All that. All that. Okay. The Tigress is connected. We're pulling 0.88 out of the battery. So that's effectively killing the battery. 0.88 will definitely bring a battery to dead overnight, and if it stays on there, it'll pull it all the way down to 0. Suck it dry. What do these do? Anything? So 5V USB speaker amp. Not too weird. I doubt it's speaker amp. I'm not gonna say it couldn't be, but I doubt it. Charger, LDO, ground, 5V USB, TriStar pin, reverse gate. USB to PNG. Let's look at main again. It's still hot as hell. It's reading 280. It's a cool board. DCC main. 326, still the same. Here's the fun part about diagnosing new things live on stream. Sometimes you kind of run out of brain. Tigris. Let's see what you do. Drill DL. PMID cap. So these four are PMID cap. Replacing Tigris did not fix our problem, so Tigris is not the problem itself. That would be extremely unlikely to have pulled off a bad Tigris and replaced it with another bad Tigris. But I think we can safely say Tigris is not working as intended because it's not charging the battery. I wonder. Let's look at the health of this PMID cap line again. And ohms are going to be OL, outside limit. I don't think any of those are short. There's our battery SW, DRAM. We can check that. Probably fine. If you had a problem on 1 8 SDRAM, whole phone would start with 302 drop. Battery data line. Battery data line is pretty simple. It talks to Tigris, and it also talks to, oh, where is it? Talks to PMIC? Oh, maybe not. Maybe Tigris talks to PMIC for it. AP to Tigris. SWI, AP usually means processor. Battery VCC. Main, ground, charger LX. Not too worried about charger LX. That's just a boost circuit. Charger LX on VCC main. That's just a boost circuit to give plenty of amperage to the charger. To step the voltage up so it's constantly charging. Tie the O USB. I think we're probably okay on that too. Well, I might need to sit down and do some research on this. I'm sitting here playing with it now. Let's clean these pads up. We'll put a Tigris back on it. And then we'll come back to this one. Once I figure it out, I will get back on the stream and I'll show you what happened. But we're not going to sit here and bang our head against the wall for another hour or two while we experiment. So let's do Tigris, and we can reball it. Hey, get the stencil back out. Not gonna waste a whole other chip. Locating a 0.8 leak is tedious and time consuming. I think what I'm probably gonna do is just go direct on the DC power supply and start injecting into different lines and seeing if we can identify the circuit that's leaking. It's going to be something connected to TriStar, which could, it could honestly be anything. Because DCC main connects to TriStar. I'm going to start with main. Main connects to TriStar, but a minor leak on main would not cause the charging issues we're having, so actually it's doubtful that it's main. Something's leaking out of TriStar though, or Tigris. Oh, that's not it. That's not it. 1, 2, 3, 4. And this is what I deserve for not cleaning up after myself. So much flux. Yeah, I'm just gonna leave the cap off of this. See if maybe this paste will dry out a little bit. That's hard to work with when it's got that much flux in it. It's hard to get real consistent balls here. Here, let's switch to something more interesting. Too much flux. Ugh. Never thought I'd say those words. We're gonna have to make those balls prettier than that. Grazed them again. Before we do that, let's get the trub out of there. And the pubes. How do we get pubes? How did we get pubes in this? What is this? What world is this? Oh my goodness. Okay. Alright, let's plop our tigress back on here. Actually, you know what? No, I'm not going to do that right quite yet. I'm going to look all over the place for the things that I know I have, but I don't know where I have them. Unless maybe these are small enough. Highly doubt it. Oh yeah, definitely not. Definitely not. Okay. Are you here? No. Nope. 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 So I'm looking for I got some fine tip probe tips that actually just slip on. I need to put them over the ends of my multimeter leads that go directly to the direct DC power supply. And I can probe each of these pins individually and see what's pulling it. That's going to be the next step. We can find out exactly which circuit is leaking 0.8 as long as it's consistently doing it. But yeah, this that tip is too much tip. It's a bit much. I don't mind doing this on stream. We can go in and edit this. Yeah, we'll edit this later. Where'd you go? And I know I just had them because I was just reorganizing this entire setup. That is not that. That is not that. Here you are. About damn time. I can probably do this in a fashion where we can look at it on Power Z. Do that. Ooh, why are you so huge? No. No. Almost. Yep. Okay. And bear with me here. Appreciate my 3 watchers. You guys are troopers. Alright, we can do, hey, that's actually, that's something. That's a thing. Alright. We'll put the fine tip probes. We'll put the Alright, I don't think I want 4.3 volts on here for this. Let's go down to something safe like 1.8.